Okay. All right, we're on record. Good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills Board of Adjustment. It is Wednesday, March 5th, 2025, and it is 7:30 p.m. Announcement is made that adequate notice of this meeting has been given and that it is being conducted in accordance with NJSA 10:4-6 at SEC of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. We're now, have our roll call. Mr. Berkowitz?
Here.
Ms. DeCrose?
Here.
Mr. Jaskowitz?
Here.
Mr. Mazzarella?
Here.
Mr. Willens?
Here.
Chairwoman Grignani?
Here.
We have our board planner, Mr. Chadwick.
Present.
Our board engineer, Mr. Lemanowitz.
Here.
And our board attorney, Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Would you please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chadwick, will you raise your right hand, please? You swear or affirm that any testimony that you give tonight shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Mr. Lemanowitz, can you raise your right hand, please? You swear or affirm that any testimony you give tonight shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes, I do. Thank you.
Is there anyone here this evening that has anything other than what is on our agenda this evening? Sina?
We're
Nora?
gonna move on to resolutions. Application 2468, Yelda Navzita 9 Minnehaha, and application 2464, Mary Lineski. For both applications, we have Berkowitz, DeCrose, Jaskowitz, Mazzarella, and Grignani. Someone like to make a motion?
Motion. Second.
All right. Berkowitz?
Yes.
DeCrose? Oh, did she? Okay.
Sure, back
Jaskowitz?
Yes.
Mazzarella?
Yes.
Grignani?
Yes.
For our next resolution, application 2455, Binder for Parkside Drive. This is a resolution for approval of dismissal of the application for failure to appear.
Moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Other than, somebody else has to make a motion.
What?
Berkowitz, DeCrose, Petty, Quinn,
Yeah.
Petty's not here, Quinn's not here, and Grignani.
Jaskowitz can't make the motion.
No, I'll move the motion. Move the resolution.
Only two others, Grignani would be the second. Ms. DeCrose's, we'll come back to this one.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
She's got that.
Last one, application 2204, Nakul Kazawala Dwala, 130
Same.
Troy Road.
Same problem, Nora.
Right, okay, you're correct.
Wait.
Okay, so we'll wait on those two.
Petty,
Yeah.
yes.
Join it. You can't go into the applications. We have to wait. We should wait.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll move to the first application.
If you want to come, make sure we come back to those.
All right, okay. Application 2480, Julia and Robert Peterson, 25 Old Parsippany Road, Block 226, Lot 2, Zone ROL, for a C variance to construct a 98 square foot addition. Ms. Peterson?
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth? You can sit down, just make sure you use the microphone, okay? I understand that you want to put a bathroom in, correct?
Yeah, my husband has Parkinson's disease, and he can't get up the stairs anymore. We have a stair climber, but he can't even use that. So we need to have a bathroom downstairs, and we just have a little laugh. So it would be really nice if we could take a shower without struggling into the stair climber and up the stairs.
And you need a variance because of the zone,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. Well, yes, that's correct. It's a pretty small addition, and we have, our property is controlled by the New Jersey Star Trust. We have a letter from the executive who gives us permission to do this to the back of the house. And I don't know what plans you saw. I mean, I have the full plan here. I have a picture that I'll
We're good.
see.
We're
You
good.
have it?
We're good, I think we're good.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Are there any questions from the board on this application?
No.
I see none.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Well, when I sent, oh, no, there isn't. No, I'm fine with that, unless you have other questions about it.
I think this is about as de minimis in nature as could be, and it's a medical necessity, so I'll be voting for it.
Thank you.
Move the resolution.
Application 24:80, Julia and Robert Peterson, 25 Old Parsippany Road, Block 226, Lot 2, Zone ROL. Recommend granting a C variance to construct a 98 square foot addition.
Second.
Berkowitz?
Yes.
Petros?
Yes.
Jaskowitz?
Yes.
Mazzarella?
Yes.
Willand?
Yep.
Grignani?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Quick, right?
Yes. Lots of luck.
Thank you very much. And we wait until you make
You'll
the
be
formal
notified,
resolution.
and then you can come in for your,
Okay,
for your
Thank
resolution.
we're very grateful.
They'll probably adopt the resolution at the next meeting,
Okay, which is in,
2 weeks.
great.
Nora, would you like to go back, please, to
Yes.
the,
Yes.
other resolutions?
Yes, so application 2455, Binder 4 Parkside Drive. We have Berkowitz, Petros, and Grignani.
So moved.
Second.
Berkowitz, Petros, Grignani.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. And then application 2204, Nakul Kazadwala, 130 Troy, same people? Yes, yes, yes.
Second. Yes.
Berkowitz,
Yes.
Petros, Grignani.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Application 24:770, Andrew and Janine Schwartz, 241 Reynolds Avenue, Block 757, Lot 3, Zone R3, for a C variance to construct an open deck with stairs, shed on pair, generator on pad, walks, patio, under proposed deck, retaining wall under proposed deck, and legalize a driveway contrary to section 430-101, sec 430-35, column 13. And this application was carried from the February 12, 25.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Can you state your names and spell your last name, starting with you, sir?
Andrew Swartz, last name is S-W-A-R-T-Z.
And your name.
Hi, I'm Janine Swartz, last name S-W-A-R-T-Z.
Great, thank you. Just make sure you speak into the microphone, okay?
Yeah.
So what is it that you'd like to do?
So when we bought our house, we envisioned raising a family within this town, and we're loving the town so far. We live on a semi-main road, so we're trying to maximize our backyard so that our daughter can run out and play there. In expanding the deck and making it up and lower level, it allows us to maximize the space so that she can have adequate outside space to run around, not, basically feel that she can run into the street. And, it's just the other stuff on the application was just more, well, you're filing for this and we don't want to have to go through this again, so just add it in.
Did you meet with the engineer to discuss your drainage?
Yes.
What was the result of that? I don't see a report here. Is there a report, Nora?
I do not
You
have,
don't have anything? Can you tell us what took place?
He told us to talk with a landscaper about adding a seepage tank so that it recharges the extra water outflow
Okay.
back into the ground.
Are
And we're,
you okay with that?
yes,
Because that was the reason we didn't go forward, the whole bunch of that night. So,
Yes.
No problem. Okay. This will address the issue.
Are there any other testimony you would like to give?
I just want to ask, so the driveway is existing, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and it was there when you bought the house?
yes.
Okay, and you're needing to legalize it tell me more about that for a minute?
It's too close to the line, I think.
It's a encroachment on the line, is the answer? Okay.
Yes.
This is
No,
approach
no,
the survey, it's on the sewer easement.
It's on the easement,
Oh,
it's on the easement,
oh.
it's on the easement of the sewer.
Yeah, okay. And the neighbors haven't had any opposition to that or any comments? Okay, thank you.
Is there anything else you would like to add? Are there any questions from the board? No? Questions from the audience in regard to this application and the testimony that has been given only? I see none. Would someone like to frame a resolution, please?
I think they're raising their family, they want to make it better for their daughter growing up in the neighborhood, and nice to have a generator for sure in this neck of the woods. And I think I'll be voting in favor of this recommendation approval.
Application 24:70, Andrew and Janine Shores, 241 Reynolds Avenue, Block 757, Lot 3, Zone R-3. Recommend granting a C variance to construct an open deck with stairs, shed on pad, generator on pad, walks patio under proposed deck, retaining wall under proposed deck, and legalize a driveway contrary to section 430-10I, sections 430-35, column 13, with an agreement to do a seepage pit
Yeah.
according to the town engineer. Is that fair?
I will include that in the resolution.
Okay.
Second.
Berkowitz,
Yes.
Jaskowitz.
Yes.
Mazzarella,
Yes.
I apologize, Willens,
Yes.
Grignani,
Yes?
did I skip somebody?
Winchester.
Mr. Gross?
I thought you forgot. Yes.
Your application is approved. You will be receiving a letter, and at that time, you can apply for your zoning permits.
Thank you very much.
Within the next meeting, we will put the resolution through. Lots of luck, lots of luck.
Thank you.
How do I put this?
Okay, that works.
Application 2430, Hakeem Ahmadi, 438 Old Dover Road, Block 14, Lot 24, Zone R1, for a C variance to construct a two-story addition, roofed porch, entranceway, open deck, front walk, driveway, and rear landing and stairs, contrary to section 430-35, column 4, front yard, Old Dover, and Union Hill Roads.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? State your name, spell your last name, starting with you, ma'am.
Nargis Ahmadi, last name is Ahmadi.
Can you spell your first name for me,
Yeah.
please?
Narges.
Thank you. You, sir?
Hakeem Ahmadi, A-H-M-A-D-I.
And your first name is spelled H-A-K-I-M,
Yeah.
right? Great, thank you. Tell us what you'd want to do.
Well, I buy this house,
Excuse me, can you speak into
You
the
have
mic?
to speak a little closer to the microphone, please.
complete, this house, you have to destroy, you can't use it. It's not usable. I tried to put a little bit addition, because they built already. The first floor is built already. I tried to make the same thing in the second floor. Because the second floor, all the room is small.
So you said you bought the house and you couldn't use it? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
It's not usable.
not usable,
We have to renovate the whole thing.
yeah.
So you're not living in the home at the present time?
No.
You did meet with your neighbor, or not your neighbor, but the town engineer, to
We-
discuss the drainage issue?
We did already.
He didn't.
And, send all the application, I take from the town or the neighborhood.
No
Well,
report. We don't have the report.
I've got a report February 14, 25. Does anybody else have it?
I don't.
I don't.
Okay.
What's it say?
I'm sorry. It talks about what he did in terms of reviewing the property. He implies that you were with him when he walked around the back of the property?
The engineer met with you at the property, you were with him?
No.
No.
Did you meet a guy named Paul Niehoff?
No, sir.
No.
Did anybody from your family meet from the engineering office?
No.
So you don't know of any interaction between your family?
Oh, wait a minute, he was at the neighbor's property
Yeah.
that's making the complaint.
No, that's the.
Reading the wrong report.
You're reading the
Wrong
report.
application.
That's a different application.
I wonder why you had so many.
How are we doing, Louis?
No,
No,
no.
we're doing Hakeem Lot.
Oh.
This man never makes a mistake.
There it is.
Almost.
Bill, do you have a report on it?
No, this is.
There was no report, he was looking at the wrong application.
Okay.
Okay, let me see if I understand. You bought a house, you bought a house, but you thought you could live in it, now you can't live in it, so you're gonna redo the whole house. Okay?
And we have no engineering report on file.
Right.
Are you gonna demolish the existing house or just renovate it?
Renovate, adding an extension to it, from the first floor and the second floor.
So there is a second floor now,
Yes,
and you're just gonna do what
just extend it a little bit.
over, so are you just building up to cover more of the first floor? So that it's like a true two-story solid dwelling?
Yes,
Okay.
You're not
So your
adding anything
footprint's
to the
not
first
getting any
floor?
bigger?
we're adding an extension a little bit to
On the first floor.
first floor, and then we're gonna go up, the same amount.
We don't put any extension, we got already deck and back of the back of the house. We make extension to the deck.
How many square feet are you gonna wind up with? You know? No, as far as the size of it.
It looks very de minimis in here.
You're going to be having,
There's no architectural plans here. There's no architectural.
And is just one family living in the house?
It will be one family.
One kitchen?
That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Do you know where it would be?
what variances are we trying to approve?
Do you have any plans on the house that's there now? I mean, the plans here show proposed building. What's the existing one look like? Because you say you're expanding it.
Do you have the-
And just for the board's information, it's showing a 23.8-foot setback. That's to the property line in the center of the road. Because it's probably an old deed.
Right, it is.
And the property line's the center line. So if that property had the normal, if that road, Old Union Hill Road,
Take a picture.
if it had a 50-foot right-of-way, which is common, the house would be in the right-of-way.
Okay.
Because that's
So what are we needing to approve here? Because
Yeah, what's the variance for?
the existing and the allowed are within
within the
what they're dealing with here. So I'm not sure what we need to be approving here on variances.
There's two variances.
Front yard.
I'm sorry?
There's two variances that they
Okay.
need for
Right.
front yard setbacks on
Right.
Old Dover Road and Union Hill Road that are apparently not being exacerbated by this proposed plan. They're already
There,
there
That's
as
right.
existing non-conforming.
right.
But because they're making improvements, they need variances to make
Legalized.
their improvements.
But they are
Legalize
not
those
expanding the
existing conditions.
non-conformance.
They're not expanding their
Any.
existing non-conformity. But they still need variances to do their construction.
Okay.
I guess what's confusing me is that on the survey, it doesn't really show where the existing building is, it just shows the proposed building.
Well,
Because those
That's
two,
what they're,
It's kind of one and the same.
that's the same thing,
It's the same
it's one
thing.
of the same.
Because
There's
if you
only
see-
gonna be,
if you
in
look at the
addition to the back.
if you look at the proposed site plan, the first page, they've got grade areas.
Yeah. A little bit confusing.
Yeah, they have grade areas in the plan that they
Right,
point
so
to
the
a new
white-
deck, new driveway.
So the white part of the proposed building is there now.
Yes,
That appears to be the case.
And this thing to the left, that looks like a I don't know if it's a drawing or what, of a,
That's a setback line.
Right.
it's like
Yeah.
it's like a rectangle with wavy lines.
Correct. That seems to be showing the 23.8-foot setback from, as Mr. Lemanowitz said,
So,
the
but the-
center line of the roadway.
Are the wavy lines bushes or trees?
I think that's just an indication of that
Embellishment.
particular condition.
Yeah, they did that on two of the setbacks.
Yeah, I think maybe it was intended by the engineer to draw attention to those two setback areas.
Okay.
At 23.8?
Right.
Yeah.
12.6.
Yeah.
But as Mr. Lemanowitz pointed out, if you look at the corner of the house closest to the edge of Union Hill Road, that dimension isn't shown, but it seems to be pretty close to the edge of Union Hill Road.
That's existing.
That's existing. You're not making any changes to, you know, the corner, you have the plans in front of you?
Yes.
You're not making any changes to the
Yeah.
footprint.
If we see it.
You're going up, but not
So the corner of your house, if you look at the plan, the first page of the plan, the corner, you have that, tell me when you have that in front of you.
Yeah.
Hold on one second.
It's gonna be the hottest.
Yeah,
this
this
one?
was,
When you say you're gonna renovate the house, does that mean you're gonna take it down to the foundation?
no.
No, no,
You're gonna fix what's there,
we're gonna fix what's there, and then
put the decks on the back.
we're gonna just extend a little bit and then go up.
What is it, a one-story now?
It's
or
a two-story.
It's a two-story, so you're gonna renovate a two-story and add on to the back. All right.
This one you added?
So the corner of your house
Uh-huh,
that is closest to Union Hill Road,
okay,
It's 3 to 4
Okay.
feet.
that's 23.8 feet from the center line of Union Hill Road.
uh-huh.
That corner, you're not doing anything on that corner, right?
No, we don't do anything.
And you're not changing anything to the front of the house that is adjacent to Old Dover Road, correct? You're not making that 12.6 feet.
A little bit, you know, they get back, try to raise it, you know, make it with the second floor.
The work that you're doing is if you're if you're on Old Dover Road and you're looking at your house,
Mhm.
the work that you're proposing is on the right side of the house, is
Yeah.
that right?
Yes.
Okay. You're not doing any work on the front
No,
of
sir.
Old Dover Road,
No,
and you're not doing any work on the corner that's closest to Union Hill Road, is that right?
this corner you're not.
And that corner is already 2 stories?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from the board? Is there anyone in the public who would like to ask questions of this witness on their testimony? I see none. Is there anyone in the public who would like to speak in support of this application? I see none. Board member, would you please? Or in opposition, thank you, of this application. Would someone like to frame a resolution, please?
I think it's a de minimis request. You're not really changing any of the facts on the ground. You're adding a little bit in an area that it's not a big deal. You're making it a more habitable living space, so I will be voting for it. Application 24:30, Hakeem Amadi, 438 Old Dover Road, Block 14, Lot 24, Zone R1, recommend granting a C variance to construct a 2-story addition, roof porch, entranceway, open deck, front walk, driveway, and rear landing and stairs, contrary to section 430-35, column 4, front yard of Old Dover and Union Hill Roads.
Second.
Berkowitz.
Yes.
Jaskowitz.
Yes.
Mazzarella.
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
Willens.
Yes.
Grignani.
Yes. Application is approved. You will be receiving a notice. And it may come in your permits when you receive the notice.
Okay, thank you.
Lots of luck.
Thanks a lot.
Here, you know, the logo it's awful. Coming.
Okay.
Application 24:48, Dave and Tess Lewis, 30 Battle Ridge Road, Block 15.7, Lot 11, Zone R-1M. C variance to legalize a basketball court, shed, steps, deck and stairs, and patio, contrary to section 430-35, columns 8, 9, 10, 13, section 430-10C, and 430-10L. This application was carried from the December 18th, 2024 date.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you give tonight should be the truth, the whole truth, so help you? Have you seen the township engineers report?
Correct.
You met with the
With
township?
two of them, yes, correct.
Do you have any comments about that township engineers report?
No, what he explained to me was that they cannot force me to do any repairs, because then they accept, like if it doesn't work, then they accept the burden. But I said that I would do it anyway.
That doesn't,
What he said was, they can make you suggestions, but that they can't force you to do it, because if it doesn't work, then the town has to, it costs me money to do it, and then they can't force me to do a second thing, is what he said. But I said that I would do it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
when it comes to what specifically?
He suggested that I put what is called a berm.
Is this for water control?
Yeah.
Okay. And were your neighbors getting it?
What,
Was there water coming from your property onto your neighbor's property?
I think it happened once, and, so we are willing to do it,
Do you
I
have,
called already my landscaper, they just can't do the work in the winter, but I already
okay,
called
do
them.
you have any, you don't have any actual plans from a landscaper or engineer or anything like that, correct?
I don't know, it's a berm that you build, like a, kind of like a
There's
hill
two things,
type
there's a
thing,
swale
and
and
that's
a
what he
berm.
suggested I do, so that's what we will do.
His letter says you're gonna build a swale and a berm.
Well, he suggested
So
a
there's-
berm, I don't know, he said,
Well, his letter
or
says that-
berm. We want
The
berm.
letter this may be accomplished with a swale and berm.
But it's weird how he phrases this.
Yeah.
Because normally he'll say, this is the conclusion.
Correct.
He's leaving it to her, or not.
Well, let's read the whole paragraph, to make sure you understand what his recommendation is, okay? So you have this letter, correct?
I do.
The February 14th, 2025 letter.
I do.
He says, our recommendation is that 30 Battle Ridge direct the runoff water from the rear yard away from 34 Battle Ridge
Correct.
to Battle Ridge Road.
Correct.
This may be accomplished with a swale and berm
Mhm.
adjacent, I think he meant, to the property line between 30 and 34 Battle Ridge. The ultimate solution must be determined by the homeowners of 30 Battle Ridge, which is you, and their professional.
Correct.
Okay, so after you received this, did you consult with any kind of landscape
I did.
architect or engineer or
I did.
anything like that?
Not an engineer, my landscape.
Okay, so,
And he said, as soon as the weather is good, we can do it.
Both, a swale and a berm.
Well,
So you know what a swale is?
swell,
Yeah.
whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever has to be done, he's gonna do it, so.
Well, but if we approve this, it's gonna be on a condition that you're gonna do a swale and a berm.
Correct.
Just
Whatever
so
has
that-
to be done to.
Or whatever we
correct,
decide.
And he also mentioned like a mini retaining wall,
Okay,
which I can also do, around the tree. But, what do you call it? It's hard, like when the landscapers came, we had a lot of snow
yeah.
and, whatever. So it's something that has to be determined in the spring. But we will do, you have my
How
word
did,
that we're
Mr.
gonna
Johnson,
do it.
how would we phrase that?
Right. But again, like I really.
If I can just throw something out there, I mean, for us up here,
Mhm.
would we be more apt to say yes to this if we saw the plan?
I don't think I need to see it, but I would just need to know what the fix is, so that if we approve that when the inspection was done or whatever, that they did what we asked to have done.
I'm happy to come back and bring it, when it's done.
Well,
It wouldn't be us.
I'm reading this that they have to do both
Right.
the
Yeah.
swale
What if
and,
we
But it's funny that you guys are saying that I have to, because he was very specific in explaining to me that it's all up to me. But I said, look, I don't want issues with my neighbor.
Right.
If this is what I can do to help it, I will do it.
So it is
But
a weird
he
thing
said
that,
that if I spend the money and the neighbors say, oh, I'm still getting water, then the township absorbs the issue.
Well, let me explain what your application is.
Okay.
You have applied to legalize
Correct.
the conditions that you constructed
Correct.
on the site
Correct.
without obtaining
Yeah.
previous approvals to do so. That's what you've asked this board
Correct.
to approve. If the board doesn't approve that,
Mhm.
then those conditions are in violation and
Correct.
you may be required to
Correct.
remove them,
Correct,
okay?
correct.
So one of the things that the township engineer suggested
Okay,
is to make certain changes to your
which I will do. I agree to do it.
to avoid what appears to be a water runoff issue.
Correct.
So you're here because your neighbor filed a complaint, the water's coming from your
Correct.
property onto their,
Yeah.
that's why you're
Yeah.
here.
Correct.
So the landscaper came out and suggested if you put a berm and a river or ditch, that'll solve the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. I think what we're saying now, if that doesn't solve the problem, okay,
Mhm.
where do we go, where do you go from there? We can't approve something,
I think our engineer wants
our
to say
engineer,
something.
Mr. Lemanowitz.
Just reading through this and understanding what I think the engineer's trying to say is that the township engineer cannot officially design something for you.
Exactly.
Because it's the town engineer who would be reviewing such a design. So he can't design it and review it.
Right.
So what he's saying in his last paragraph is that you've got to find a professional. And when you say landscape architect, it's not a landscaper. It's a landscape architect.
Okay.
It's a licensed professional
Okay.
or an engineer to design the drainage system for the engineering department to review.
Well, he didn't say that.
Well,
He didn't
that's
say I have
not
to
a-
bring it back and have it reviewed, but I said I would do the job.
Yeah, because again, it said the ultimate solution must be determined by the homeowners and their professional. So you have to hire someone to put on paper the resolution of what your professional is proposing,
Okay.
and then that would be reviewed.
He doesn't say anything in his report that he has to review it, or it's subject to his approval.
Well, I guess it depends how much disturbance there is if he's going to trigger
I
a
think we
permit.
need to know, your landscaper, do you know if he's a licensed landscape architect?
I'm sure he's not a landscape architect. I mean, he's LNS landscaping. I've been using him for years, so.
Cuts the grass?
So he cuts your
Sure.
grass
Cuts my
and
lawn, he
maintains.
does all my planting, he does all the trees that I can, you know.
Did he put any of the concrete or pavers?
No, that concrete was done by Mossberg 30 years ago.
Okay. Well, I agree with Tom, when he says that they're professional. Landscape architects can design berms and swales and know what they're doing.
Okay?
A guy who's trimming trees and cutting grass,
Mhm.
that's a different skill.
So you're required to provide a solution to the problem.
Okay?
And what we're suggesting here is your landscaper might not be, what he's proposing will provide a solution to the problem. So
Okay.
you still have the problem.
Okay?
So we can't approve something might still have the problem unless you have a licensed landscape architect that says, my plan will abate that problem.
Okay. So, I mean, you should have said, like, that you wanted me to bring something.
Well, no,
That, like,
no.
also-
I think that's research that you would do with engineering department and with your professional that you would hire.
Okay.
It's not up to us to tell you.
So what I'm trying to
You-
get at
you-
is,
you
you
have
want me
to
now
hire
to
a
hire an architect
professional.
and then bring the plans here?
Yes,
Is that
you,
okay?
you
Not
have
an
to have an
architect.
architect.
Not an architect.
A landscape
Landscape
architect,
architect.
big difference.
And he has to draw up the plans, and he's got to show the mitigation, and he's got to show the runoff, where it's gonna go, how it's gonna go, where it will not disturb the property owners on
Right, but
either
it's
side of
like
you or
I'm-
below
like
you.
I'm just trying to explain, because like I said, when I talked to Paul, Nyhoff,
Nyhoff.
and then the other guy said I didn't have to do anything. And Paul came and said, look, this is what I suggest, but I can't force you to do it.
Well,
So
no
now
one
you're
can force you
saying
to,
that I need that, and listen, I'm happy to do whatever has to be done.
well,
Like, in my opinion, no, what I'm trying to get at is, look, that basketball court obviously. I'm not even using it. My children are now, the youngest is 30. It was done when my kid almost got killed by one of Mossberg's trucks, so he helped me do this. He sold me a house without even a sliding door in the back. The patio has been there. Like, I'm just trying, because my neighbors reported me, I'm trying to make it legal.
Well, what we're asking now is that you hire
Okay, so then that's a
a
whole different
landscape
ballgame, and I'm happy to
architect,
bring that.
and he does the drawings,
Okay?
and then you have to come back and show us.
After this surgery, I would have wished I would have known, because I would have punted until I had it.
Would-
Thank you.
Would it
I'm
be
happy
better,
to do it. Sure.
you know, have you thought about taking the basketball court out? If it's, the way it looks like it's breaking up.
No,
It's
I gotta
cracking.
take it down.
Pardon
That
me?
might not solve the problem
Like,
anyway.
I don't wanna go through that. First of all, when that was done, nobody had fences. Now, everybody has fences around, so there's no machine that can get there,
Well, they can take a fence down.
you know?
They can take a
Agree.
fence down and go
Okay.
in. Because I
I
live
know.
in an area that's all fences and,
You know, but I'm
and they
saying,
go in,
like,
they
it's a
take it down.
hill, like the houses are.
I know Battle Ridge.
I know.
That you can get someone in
Okay,
there,
I'm sure.
take it down.
I'm, of course, man, anything can be done. I can take the house down.
That's true.
I'm just
I
trying to
think
get
part
to.
of your issue here is,
So you want the opportunity to come back with an actual plan, is that
Right.
correct?
Of course.
Okay, and that's, you're asking the board to carry the matter so that you can come back with a plan, correct? Okay, hold on. All right. Yes.
Is there anyone in the public who would like to ask questions of this witness?
Could I ask a question first?
Of this witness?
No, of you. Do I need to recuse myself from this?
Because it was built by Mossberg?
Yes.
We're talking
No?
years ago.
Okay.
No, we're talking years ago.
Okay, just wanna,
Okay.
The same goes for me, right?
No.
probably sold it.
Yeah, right, fine.
Is there anyone in the audience that is in opposition to this application? Please come forward.
But before we carry on, I mean, I don't know, Counselor, but if she has to come back, we're not gonna take any vote, so,
Well, I believe this is an attorney for the neighbor,
okay?
okay? And do you want to identify yourself for the record?
Good evening. Can everyone hear me okay?
Fine.
Good. I'm Kate Coffey from Day Pitney, and I am here on behalf of the Pintos, which are the neighbor that are being impacted by the runoff. And we appreciate everybody's time. As the board knows, in this case, the improvements that were installed without permit or approval result in impervious coverage almost double the standard, more than double the standard that's permitted in the town. You have a 20% impervious coverage standard, and they're at over 40% impervious coverage. It is a runoff problem. We do appreciate the board requiring that plans be put in place to solve the drainage problem that are prepared by a professional, either a licensed landscape architect or a licensed engineer. And our only request would be that they be done quickly, because the drainage problem is ongoing. We're having rain right now, so we wouldn't want it to be dragged out for too long.
Okay, but you want to reserve your questions until...
It probably makes sense until we see the plan to work off of it, yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Nora, may we have a date, please?
Yeah, my earliest is May 21st.
Okay. At that time, May 21st.
Madam Chairman, would the plans be required to be submitted 10 days in advance in accordance with municipal land use law so that we have a chance to review them?
Yes, do you understand that? You have to get the plans submitted to the board secretary 10 days before that meeting, okay?
Is this a new owner? Or is this
No.
that's an original owner too?
They've been next door.
Okay.
So, I think what we're saying here, if this would have come to us for approval to start with, it wouldn't have been approved, because it's way in excess of impervious coverage. You're already saying you're not using the basketball court, that the impervious coverage of the
Yes.
basketball court, that wouldn't have been approved, okay? So you're already saying they're not using the basketball court
Right.
anymore, right?
That's what I
If the basketball court was gone, okay, and you had a little berm in there, you probably would have no issue, okay?
Right.
So maybe when you're talking to your landscape architect, you could talk about doing that as well, to remove a lot of the impervious coverage that you're not using anyway as a basketball
They
court.
can break up.
Might make your yard a lot nicer too. My suggestion, I don't know if I can do that, but that's what I recommend. Okay,
I agree. I
okay,
agree with you, your summation.
okay?
Okay, just let
That
us
might be a
know.
good thing for you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
Okay, so
Thank you.
We're carried to May 21st, and anybody move that?
So moved.
Second.
Yes,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, May 21st.
Did you say no for the notice?
And that will be with
Yeah.
no further notice.
Sure you are.
Okay.
Application 2471, Camille Malat, 318 Halsey Road, Block 313, Lot 4, Zone R4, for a C variance to construct a new two-story, single-family dwelling with attached garage and roof for porch, front porch, entranceway, contrary to section 430-35, columns 2, 3, 10, and 13. Mr. Murray?
Yes. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
State your name, spell your last name.
My first name is Kamal, my last name is Malik, M-A-L-I-K.
Could you please speak, excuse me, could you please speak closer to the mic?
Yeah, sure. My
Thank
first name is
you.
Kamal,
Thank you.
K-A-M-A-L. My last name is Malik, M-A-L-I-K.
Okay. And you have a witness with you here today?
This is Knuckle. He's going to be...
Right, can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Can you state your name, spell your last name?
Yeah, first name Nakul, last name Kasudwala. Nakul, N-A-K-U-L. Last name Kasudwala, K-A-S-A-D-W-A-L-A.
Okay. You want to start with telling the board what you'd like to do?
Sure.
I have one, I'd like to speak about this.
Sure.
Okay, I have a question, Mr. Murray.
Sure.
We have a letter here from June 7th, 2023, in regard to a 769 square foot, two-story, single-family dwelling and a 32 square foot, one-story covered porch entranceway. Did you build that at that time, or you haven't built anything?
No, I haven't built
So
anything.
we're
I haven't built
starting
anything.
from the beginning now.
Yeah, I purchased the property probably around 10 years ago, I think. Maybe
Okay,
8, 9 years ago. And then we demoed the existing property that was there. And due to work circumstances and stuff, I had to move to Washington DC, so I live in Washington DC now. And I haven't done anything with that particular property. And now we would like to build on it.
please tell us what you'd like to do.
So I'll let, Knuckle explain if that's okay, because he's the contractor.
Okay, please.
Right, so I'm the contract purchaser here. Thanks for your time today. The owner has a circumstances, so he's not building that property. It is a 40 by 100 lot, which is non-compliance in a way, non-conforming. And we are planning to build a two-story colonial house there. And just now the house is demolished, so, and the existing foundation is there. So what we are proposing is the new house there with the new foundation there. And just now, it's an eyesore site which will be, we are going to convert it to the two-story house there as such. So there is a plan and everything is with you for that. So it's very similar things we have studied in the town has happened. So we are proposing very near to the similar things which has happened in the past on the 40 by 100 lot. And that's the proposal. So we are converting that lot, which is just with the foundation and nothing, into the beautiful house.
You're not gonna salvage the old foundation. You're gonna take that out altogether.
Yeah, I'm going to take that out and we are going to build a new foundation there. And on the left side of the property, when we face the property, there is a lot there, which is, we approached them, but they are not buzzing on selling the property as such.
Which lot has extra land to the east side of the property, or if you're standing in the street to the left side?
Yeah, so when we face the home, on the left.
What size lot is that?
That lot is bigger. It's almost 7,500 square feet lot, if I remember correctly.
75 by 100?
Not 75, maybe something like that. The total area is 7,500 square feet.
Strange lot, that is.
Who's gonna live in the house?
Sorry?
Who's going to live in the house? Are you living or are you building a spec house?
I'm building the spec house in a way.
Okay, this is the owner
He's the
of the
owner.
property.
Yeah.
Hired you to build a spec house.
Yes,
Okay. And you knocked down a house, not the one that you were approved for. You knocked down the old house because you never did the one you approved for. Correct?
Correct, we knocked down the old house.
Okay.
Why have you changed your mind from the approval in hand to this proposal?
In terms of the actual layout of the home? You mean the actual, I mean, the architectural is
This
like...
one's a little bigger than what you got approved for,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, so...
About how much bigger?
Sorry?
How much bigger?
I don't know exactly how much bigger, but the other one didn't have a garage. This one has a garage. We just felt that it's better for that neighborhood to put a garage on the home. And then Knuckle is more familiar with this area than I am, because
Nicole, how many square feet is the house?
so this will be,
The house that he's building, I
Yes.
believe, is 4,000 square feet.
What? Wow.
no, lot is 4,000 square feet, not the house. The lot is 4,000
The
square.
lot, excuse
Yeah,
me, I apologize, the
The
lot,
house is
yes.
gonna be 1,228 square feet.
Yeah, so footprint will be 1,200 square feet, and the livable area will be somewhere around 2,100 square feet, 2,000 to 2,100.
Living space?
Yeah,
Living area,
In the two-story.
two-story, it's a colonial.
And the homes that are near your proposed building, are they similar, two-story?
Yes, on the right, all the, it's bi-level two-story only on the right side, and opposite side also is a similar story. And if you go to all the street in the Farmingdale or the Flemington, it's the similar houses are there, two-story. So house will match the characteristic of the neighborhood as such.
What are you proposing in terms of taking care of rainwater?
I beg your pardon.
Rainwater, how are you proposing to deal with this?
So, engineer, I'm pretty sure he's going to ask us to put the drywall, and that's way we will take care of it. If there is a stormwater connection feasible, which is, I don't think so because it's on the other side, it's one property away, we'll connect the drywall to the stormwater also. But it doesn't look feasible, but engineers are the right people to answer all those questions. So once it is approved, engineer will make a full plan for the stormwater management and will comply with that.
But you don't know, at this point, you don't know what that's going to entail.
It will be drywall, I'm pretty sure about that. That's the way it works here.
But you haven't designed that.
No, not for this approval, but once the approval is there, we'll submit it to the engineering department and we'll follow the process there.
So if we decided that we want to approve this, you would accept on the contingency of you agreeing to whatever the engineer
Yes.
comes up with?
Yes, I do, yeah.
So it's gonna have a basement?
Yeah, it will have a basement. That's the reason we are removing the existing old foundation also. It doesn't make sense using that.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Please.
The architectural plans say that the average grade is 315,
Okay.
okay? There's no topography. How is that number determined?
Let me check. I think there was a topography was done by the engineer.
Okay, I only have the Matarazzo plan, there's no
Yes.
topography on it at all.
I have that in phone, not here, but the topography was done, and I can submit you that plan, signed and sealed by Mr. Matarazzo, the engineer. He has done the survey and the topography. After that, it was put on the architecture plan.
Okay, the other question is, the chart says that the front yard setback is 29.5, but that dimension's not to the nearest part of the building, to the house, to the street rather. It's to the main part, there's an overhang and there's a front porch, so that 29.5 is not your setback.
I beg your pardon, can you repeat your question? I'm trying to understand it.
You have on the plan, the front yard setback at 29.5 feet, but that's measured to the first floor wall. the second-story overhang is closer to the street, so that 29.5 is not your front yard setback. And your front porch looks like it's covered, so really the front yard setback is to the covered porch, not to the house. It doesn't look like, it's hard to tell if that's gonna be an issue with the porch, but that 29.5 is not the correct setback.
Makes sense. I'll ask, so looks like a mistake on the engineering side. If you see the diagram, we are within the setback for the front porch also.
Right.
So that will change from, you're absolutely right, from 29.5 to 25.5. Because the front porch is 4 foot.
What is the dimension of the front porch?
It's a 4 feet wide and the width is the half of the stuff. I'll try to find it. But it's the deep by 4 feet. So in the engineering plan, they have shown the setback line. The house is within the setback line. So we are not encroaching in the front setback.
So even if the front yard setback was accurately measured, you would not need a variance?
Exactly. Thank you for bringing out that point. It's a mistake on the engineering side.
So looking at the plans, it says, for the basement, it just says basement. Is it gonna be a finished basement? What kind of rooms are gonna be down there?
Unfinished. There is nothing is there in that. It's purely unfinished basement.
Any other questions from the board?
Is there a house on either side of your?
So when I face this property, on right side there is a house, which is a 2-story bi-level. On the left side there is a land, and next to that there is again a 2-story house.
Did you try and see if you could purchase any of that land?
I did try that with the owner of that. He don't want to sell it anything because it's like he don't want to sell the land. Neither he wants to pass on some land to me.
You know how big that parcel is?
It's approx 7,500 square feet.
And he wouldn't give you any of it?
No.
Okay.
I tried that. I studied that and I tried that because in the application it says, did you try to buy the land next to you? And it is a land there and I did try that, but that guy is not buzzing on that.
Well, that's good for the record. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Is there anyone in the audience this evening that has any questions of this application? Is there anyone in the audience that is in support or in opposition to this application? I see none. Would one of the members like to frame the resolution, please?
Yeah, I don't think it's a big ask. I think the house, according to the testimony, is gonna fit within the context of other homes. You're not building a McMansion of any sorts, so I'll be voting for it.
Frame a resolution, someone please?
Okay, application 24.71, Kamal Malik, 318 Halsey Road, Block 313, Lot 4, Zone R4. Recommend granting a C variance to construct a new 2-story single-family dwelling with attached garage and roof, front porch, entranceway, contrary to section 430-35, columns 2, 3, 10, and 13, with agreeing to the engineer's recommendation for drainage.
I will include that in the resolution.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
I need a second, please.
Second.
Berkowitz.
Yes.
Kraus.
You know, I'm going to vote no because I don't think all the information was given to us. And I think that on many of the applications, you know, people are coming in with them not complete, not giving us everything we need. And so I don't feel right about it. So I'm going to vote no.
Jaskowitz.
Yes.
Mazzarella.
Yes.
Willens.
Yes.
Grignani.
Yes. Did you mention Mr. Berkowitz?
Yes, yes, I did.
Did I vote? I voted.
Yes.
I
Okay.
said yes.
Yep, thank you.
You want me to say it again?
No, that's okay. All right, your application is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lots of luck. What else did- Okay. Application 24:43, H HK Truck Services Incorporated, 103046 Fanny Road, Intervale Road, Block 448, lots 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, Zone 0-7, preliminary and final major site plan with CD variance, major soil moving permit to construct a truck sale and service facility.
Good evening.
Well, that was a mouthful.
Thank you, Chairman. Stephen Tompalakian from Wiener Law Group, Parsippany, on behalf of the applicant and owner. HK Truck is the applicant, the tenant of the property. 10 Fanny owner owns all the properties. This site hopefully needs no introduction to anybody who lives in Parsippany. This is the old Crigliano Dodge site. Everybody knows where it is. Everybody knows the site. Prominent corner in town. HK Truck started leasing the property back in 2019, and HK Truck is in the business of selling and servicing trucks. It's primarily based in South Plainfield. Parsippany is its second location. And they've done so well, and they've enjoyed the operations of Parsippany so much that they decided to buy the place. So they made a deal with Corey, bought the property from him, hired a bunch of professionals, and went ahead to start working on a plan to really fix up that site. I try to make it a practice never to speak poorly of a client's property, but this site needs some love. Based on the zoning history, the last time, if I'm not mistaken, the last time this site was before this board was back in 1978. Is when Crigliano Dodge got its original use variance approvals to develop the site. So when you go out to the site now and you look at it, you're looking back in time to a car dealership from 1978. So again, it's time to put some money and some love into this property. We think you're really gonna, from reviewing the plans in advance of tonight, I think you're really gonna like what Mr. Navy, the owner of HK Truck, is proposing. Completely redoing the site, complete. It's just completely coming up with a brand new site. One of the interesting things about this project, and you'll hear a lot from our professionals this evening, is that one of the tasks that we were given was, I want to completely redo the site, but I don't want to shut the site down. I want to keep operating while the site is being redeveloped. And that is what you're going to hear tonight, the term phasing. And Mr. Tyner, our engineer who designed this project, is going to go into detail as to how that project is intended to be built in pieces and in phases, so that he could keep the operations going, keep the people employed there while this work is going on.
How long of a project do you think it is?
Several years. Mr. Tyner will be able to give a little bit of a better description, but it's a several-year endeavor.
Is it made longer by wanting to do it in phases?
Yes, in order to keep the facility, keep sales and service going, building the replacement facility, moving to the new replacement facility, creating parking. The engineers have worked out this logistical plan, which you're going to be hearing a lot about tonight, but it will cause this. If we were just to shut the site down, tear it all down, build it, of course that's faster, but that would create a big impact to the business. Again, HK only has two facilities, South Plainfield and Parsippany, so shutting down one half of its facilities would be an impact on it. And we're hoping to avoid that, and we're hoping, when you hear the idea, the logistics of how this is going to work, hopefully the zoning board will find it to be palatable, workable, and hopefully acceptable.
You give a better definition of numerous years?
You can hear from Mr. Tyner, but the numbers we've been thinking about are between 3 and 5. Which, in the scheme of development, it takes 2 years to build an apartment building, so maybe that is not. But when you build an apartment building, you tear down and build new. This is building, then tearing down, and then building. So it's a little bit complicated, but.
So, Mr. Johnson, maybe I'm being naive, but I guess I've been on here 9 years, I've never had a case where that's been presented and where we're deciding on the yes or no of the case with the time frame. Is that common,
Well,
or?
you're asking to approve the entire plan.
Oh, the
correct?
entire project, but again, sometimes for like the larger projects, when you're redeveloping a site with 500 apartments, let's say you have multiple buildings, you might phase it. You'll build one apartment building now, build the parking, then start the next phase and the next phase.
But is that part of our thought process in approving it?
Well, it's one of the considerations you're gonna have to make as to whether you want to approve their project, knowing that it's being
Okay.
done in phases.
Okay.
But you're asking for the approval of the entire project.
Oh, the entire project, in that way. In year 1 and 2, we'll do this part of it, and when that part's done, we'll then go to the next phase and build that part of it. Again, the whole idea is to do it while all the men are still working at the site, and the customers are being serviced, and not to disrupt it. Because again, South Plainfield's not that close.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately. So tonight, you're gonna be hearing from 3 gentlemen, Josh Tyner from Redcom. Redcom, I think they're based in Cranford or Westfield. They just built the Ford dealership on Route 10. That's one of their projects that they're design built. And that's a beautiful site. So Josh designed this project. You're gonna be hearing from him. He's gonna go through the whole proposal. He's gonna describe the architecture, the site, how it's being laid out. After Mr. Tyner, you're from Doug Poliniak, our traffic engineer. This is at the intersection of Fanny and Intervale. This has been reviewed by the county. The county had a bunch of comments which we've addressed. He'll get into the traffic impacts of this site. And then last but not least, Alex Doherty, our professional planner, to go into the variance briefs. This is a D2 case. That's an expansion or intensification of a pre-existing non-conforming. Again, this board approved the Crigliano use variance back in 77 and 78. HK has been operating under a zoning permit reliant upon those prior approvals. So there's, other than 1977, 78, there
I'm
hasn't been
pretty
much.
sure there was something between that. Hey, Bernie, didn't we have something when they came in,
You got to do something.
For a sign.
Yeah, but I think it was in the next, it was for the property next door.
Oh,
That was his private property. Yes.
Our, John McDonough, who wasn't able to come tonight, he did say that he did do some zoning work for Mr. Crigliano on the neighboring property,
Yes.
which is a
Yes.
towing yard, I believe, but that's not part of this application.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, if the board, unless the board has any questions for me about like my introduction, I'd like to have Mr. Tyner sworn in, and we'll get him going on his.
You okay with 6 of us?
Yeah, we're hoping we can get it all in tonight. I think, in fact, it's 8:30. You're gonna hear 3 witnesses. If we can get it all in tonight, great. Otherwise, we may need to carry it.
You mentioned the county had reviewed this. What jurisdiction do they have?
That's a good
I
question.
think it's Fanny Road.
Yes.
Fanny is county.
Yeah, I think
It
it's
is?
County Road.
It goes into Mountain Lakes, maybe.
Well, it's a section, Fanny is 202, right?
Well,
No,
no.
it's not.
it makes a right turn over
Is
the
it-
bridge.
Well,
Well,
it's
202
right there on the
turns
corner.
At that
It turns
corner.
right in the corner.
I don't think Fanny Road is a county road.
Well, parts of 202 are county jurisdiction.
Much of 202.
Yeah, parts of that road, 202, are county jurisdiction. It's not all state jurisdiction.
You know, with a project of this
But
magnitude.
202 doesn't go up in front of this.
But right at the corner, it takes a turn to go over the bridge.
Right.
Does it not?
The front one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But John, given the size of this project, we were.
Yeah, because there's a conflict between, they have in their report that they would like you to eliminate access to Fanny Road.
And Mr.
I'm
Tyner-
not, I think it's important we know who has control over that, the township or the county.
I think the township has control over it, so, over Fanny, at least on that.
Then you don't think it's a county road?
Well,
I think because 202, the county takes care of 202, the county believes it has jurisdiction over it.
202 does not run in, it comes up, makes a bend at the intersection.
Correct.
So it
But I guess
probably
the
touches
county-
the end,
It avails the,
Edge of the
probably
corner.
touches the tip of the property.
But no, it doesn't continue on Fanny Road past Intervan.
correct.
But just like county stormwater, even though you might not, if you impact county stormwater, the county takes.
Yeah, I can
like
see that's a little more amorphous than this. I mean, it is or it isn't the jurisdiction. And if the county's saying, we suggest that it comes up, didn't say we require it. You know what you concluded?
Mr. Townsend explained where the driveways are proposed and how we're proposing to deal with it.
You guy you're talking to?
Yeah, I called you earlier today.
A while ago, too.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Great. State your name, spell your last name.
Joshua Tyner, Tiner.
Josh, can you give the board the benefit of your professional qualification experience?
Yeah, I studied civil engineering at Penn State, graduated in 1995 with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering. I was licensed as a professional engineer in New Jersey in 2003, and my license is still in good standing. I've testified for dozens of boards throughout the state of New Jersey, but I have not been before this board before.
And you have been responsible for designing this site then?
Yes, I oversaw the technical aspects. I'm the vice president of the engineering department at our company. I'm the person ultimately responsible as the owner of the company. He signed and sealed the documents, but it's my department that put the plans together, and I was involved heavily in the design of the project.
With that background, we would ask the board to recognize Mr. Tyner as an expert in civil engineering.
Acceptable.
Thank you very much. Now, Josh, this is your project. You've been working on this for several years. Why don't you go through, explain where the board knows where the property is, but give the board the background of the properties, which lots we're using, what's there now.
I also have the I don't want to call them placemats, but groupings of the exhibits that maybe you could have in front of you, it'd be easier.
Thank you.
So for the purpose of this, it's 6 separate exhibits, or you could, I don't know if you want to group them as one.
Well, let's mark the whole thing as A1.
Mark it as A1, pages 1 through 6. Okay, so we refer to this site as 10 Fanny Road. This is block 448, lots 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So it is multiple addresses, but ultimately, it's 10 Fanny Road. As a part of the application, the goal is to consolidate these 5 lots, and the tax assessor said it would become proposed lot 19.01, ultimately. The applicant and the ownership entity are 2 separate entities. That's part of the application. Referring to this aerial exhibit, which is page 1 of exhibit A1. Traveling north on 287, the northern exit, Route 40, or exit 43 off of 287, you would make a left onto Route 202, which is labeled as Intervale on the plan. So if you got off the exit, you'd make the left on Intervale, and then you come up to the intersection of Parsippany Boulevard and Fanny Road. The site is there diagonally to the right. Now, my understanding is, if you're looking at this plan, Parsippany Boulevard, and as it bends to the right onto Intervale, that would be Route 202. So technically, the state jurisdiction, NJDOT, there was no jurisdiction of the frontage, because the corner of it touched the state highway, so we believe that there was no jurisdiction with the state, and we don't have any access within their jurisdiction. I do believe parts of Parsippany Boulevard may be the county road, but I don't believe Fanny Road or Intervale are county road. And just to the topics that were discussed earlier, we did address all of the county comments. We satisfied them. I think at one point we had, which we'll get to when we get to propose, we had 3 driveways off of Fanny Road, and the county asked us to get rid of one of them, and so we removed one of them. So now there's only 2 driveways proposed off of Fanny Road. So I guess we could move on to page 2, which would be R1, or R2, page 2 of the exhibits. I'll also turn the easel over.
Actually, maybe I should go back, just so we're aware, the light blue in this first page one are the like various zone lines. And so lots 15, 14, 13, and 12, which are to the left of the property there, they're in the residential, because that's the R3 district. And then the lot kind of to the rear, which is a big warehouse that a church occupies, that's also an R3/SED3, Special Economic Development District. But they're all residential, kind of surrounding to the sides. To the right, that's a commercial, retail type building, and across the street, across Fanny Road, that's also like STS or some tire type commercial operation. And lot 20 currently on the existing is a residential house that will be demolished as a part of the project. So moving back to page 2.
I'm sorry, what did you say, lot 21? What's the use that's there?
Yeah.
What's the music?
Is that the music
21.
store?
Yeah, there's like a music store and some other retail type shops, operations. In fact, while we're talking about that property, the application has an easement, a temporary easement that we requested from them and they granted. And this is for the purpose of, as a part of our proposed conditions, portions of that common property line, they are lower than the existing conditions, and we're bringing ours down. And if we didn't have an easement between the two properties, we'd be building a silly like retaining wall, holding back a foot of dirt between a retaining wall, which would make no sense. So we got an easement, they're gonna allow us to remove that, and then the site will come from their site, and it could just kind of gradually ease into our site with a new retaining wall on our side. But rather than go with a higher retaining wall that drop back down, we have an easement, so they've agreed to that as a part of the application, which is nice, because that's cost savings and et
Mr.
cetera.
Tanner, I may be jumping ahead of you. The proposed new building
Yes.
will be on site 21 and 20?
Not 21.
Not 21,
It-
just 20, I'm sorry, 20?
Yeah,
And
it's
19?
basically located on 19 and 20, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
The taxes are, we plan, if this project's approved, we plan on merging all of the 10 Fanny Road lots. So it'd be a single lot, and the tax assessor has already told us how to identify that future combined lot. But lot 21 is separate, that's the reason.
Yes, all right, thank you.
So you're in essence saying 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20 is encompassing the entire site?
Correct, right, yeah. Contiguous properties, tax lots that are part of one site plan application.
And just one question for me, the work that's currently being done there, you say they're already working out of there? They're working in the building at 17 and 18, is that, am I right in
Yes,
assuming that?
that's correct.
I believe that there might be a residential tenant living in that house, but that, again, if this project goes forward, that tenant will be located and home will be demolished.
On 17 and 18?
Up on 20.
Oh, that's on 20, right.
Yeah. They do operate on 19, that's where they park trucks and, you know.
That's where the building will be.
Yeah, but you're right. But the building is, the existing building is on 17 and 18.
Okay, that's fine.
Right. So ultimately, the plan shifts the driveway off of Interval. There is an existing driveway coming off of Interval. As you can see, it's basically on lot 16. That would be like right up against the property line to the adjacent lot 15. We're basically shifting that so we can define some truck parking, and so it's shifted just a little bit to the south on Intervale toward Fanny Road, and that one will remain. The point of interest on that drive is that we have a sign proposed to restrict truck traffic to go left as truck traffic exits. Car traffic could go right or left, but it's designed so that we have trucks only going out to the left if they are to exit off of that access point. Right now, there's really no restriction as defined.
All right, Mr. Tanner, so 16 will be the exit?
16 is where the exit is, and there's another one proposed if you were to look at R2 in that same kind of location.
All right, and that's across the street from private homes?
There are private homes across the
All
street.
right, you couldn't move that exit off of Fanny Road?
We do have exits off of Fanny Road. That was part of the phasing and part of the challenge with the county. And we can talk about whether or not that needed to stay as an exit point, but,
Which one are you talking about?
the one off of Intervale.
116.
We'd prefer to keep that because part of the thing about this site, once it's phased, is that, and I'm getting ahead of myself in a way, but I guess if you're looking at R2, yeah.
And point it out at the board, because
Oh,
that
okay,
way,
yeah.
that way.
Is this one on? Okay. If we're here, this is what we're calling the Phase 2 area, because that's where the existing building is.
Right,
And this is that entrance that we're talking about off of Intervale.
right.
So, at one point, we had another driveway proposed right here. That's the one that the county, I believe, asked us to remove. And we did because we felt, okay, that's fine, as long as we can still get off of this lower part. Part of the thing is that this part of the site is up high, we have a slope down on this drive access between, and then this lower lot kind of remains at the lower elevation of the existing site, has the circulation, has a way for us to get in and out. It would be, if this was not there, it would be kind of cumbersome for the owner to have to bring all the vehicles back up this ramp and then back down another ramp and come back out on a Fanny Road. It's feasible. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm saying this is the application that's before us that we prefer to do if the board would not push back on that too harshly.
I personally would like to see you move that. I was to the site, these trucks, the cabs are huge, and you're going to have sales trucks there also, I'm sure, and we're going to be coming in and out of that exit or entrance, and I've got private homes across the street.
Mhm.
And what are your hours? I mean, I'm probably getting ahead of myself.
Oh, it's totally
What are
fine.
the hours? And, you know,
The owner won't, he's not here tonight, but he would be able to testify about the hours of operation, but they are the same as what the existing building is. And the existing building does currently have a driveway in that location doing the precisely same thing that we're proposing it to do with those houses across the street. So those people have had that condition all those years. Now, we could
So those conditions aren't
potentially-
gonna change?
Not gonna change. It's the
And
same.
you talked about the one off of, the one heading out.
I mean, the intensity of the
Along
traffic consultant could speak to. So when I say it's not gonna change, I mean, the movements are quite similar.
Perhaps if I can, let's keep that issue on the side,
Yeah.
because when we talk about the phasing, perhaps there might be a solution that after all the work is done, maybe that driveway could be made like emergency access or limited. Let's just
Fair.
wait, because.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Because you want to see it better. You want to see it better for the neighbors too,
Oh,
not just the property owner, the neighbors as well.
absolutely.
Correct.
But I think
Fair for everyone.
the way I understand the phasing, and Josh knows about that, and we might need that driveway, but when the work is all done, maybe then we could put limits, maybe remove it, maybe limit it.
That parking
That-
lot,
that-
which
that may
is
work.
phase 2, the spaces laid out in there appear to be for large trucks, exclusively.
It's truck parking. What the applicant's business is sales and service of truck bodies, like
cabs,
the
only the cabs.
cabs, right, not the trailers. This isn't for trailer parking. These will be vehicles that they're servicing or working on, or
Why are
not
those-
working on them in the location, but waiting to service. Or a few will be inventory, in theory.
Those spaces are how deep? I can't read the number.
Oh, well, they do vary. Some are 35 feet, some are, all the ones on that lot are 35 feet deep,
That
12 feet
What
wide
is phase 2?
in the phase 2, except for the ones that are sized for car and vehicle.
They would be utilized by a cab, they wouldn't be long enough for a trailer, obviously.
Right, I believe it's all,
So why are they that long?
some trailers could park there.
Are there gonna be trailers or not?
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah, we kind of heard both sides of that. There is and there isn't.
If you drive by the site now, you'll notice it's not just like tractor trailer cabs. They serve box trucks, medium-sized trucks, where the
There's a
box
bus
is
there
attached.
at the present time.
Yeah, so it's
Right.
not just, the cab, it's sometimes they're medium-sized trucks. I think the bulk of their business now at that site is medium-sized trucks.
Yeah. So, maybe moving back on to some of the basic direct testimony.
Yes.
Okay, so off of Fanny Road, currently in the existing conditions, if you look at the site plan, there's the driveway off of Lot 20, there's a driveway off of a garage that's on Lot 19, there's 3 very wide, large curb cuts coming all the way down to the building, which is on Lot 18. It's kind of inconsistent about how that is, but the whole thing is basically you can drive in and off of Fanny Road. The proposed condition is pushing any access onto the site on Fanny Road much further up. We're aligning it with the driveway across the street, with the STS property, that's the two-way circulation in and out. That's where we've aligned that, and then that gives the ability just for an occasional and/or fire circulation vehicle to get around the building. And once you come around the back of the building, if it was a movement like this is access in and out, coming around the building. This becomes one way. So they could turn around here and come back out. But if you come over here, this is not two-way out. This is out only. So vehicles would come around, they could back in some of the parking. That's why it's angled. And then continue to move back out and then get out on Fanny Road. And so there's only 2 driveways now, and you have the ability to circulate the site, and so that's what we're limiting access to the property with.
What's the purpose of it being a one-way road? Because if you had both going both ways there, then we wouldn't need that entrance and exit on the other side.
We really didn't have the width to do two-way circulation and perpendicular parking. So one of the reasons that's one way out is because it was narrow on that side to allow us to have one-way circulation and still be able to park some vehicles on the angled parking, and to give full circulation around the building.
In the back of the building, you wouldn't have, it's not wide enough the way it is, the way it's drawn to have both ways behind there.
Yeah, right.
The
That,
back.
Well, maybe
I mean, in
it's,
theory,
Yeah.
cars could make those maneuvers, but the whole goal is to keep it as,
It would be tight.
yeah, it would be tight.
well, I mean, if we had maybe one less garage door and a little bit not as wide a building, then we could do both ways there and help the neighbors have a little peace and quiet on that side of the road.
Right.
Just my thought.
Could I
Well,
just,
we could push it further, like you said.
could I just clarify so I understand the whole, all the lots, 22, 23, and 24, are those, homes?
Yeah.
What, the lot, there's structures on 22, 23, and 24. Those are residential homes?
I see what lots you're talking about. I'm not completely sure what those are. There could be residential in there. They are on the other side of Lot 21.
Right. But I
Which
just want to
is
get a whole
remaining.
feel.
Yeah.
And what about 13, 14, and 15?
They are residential.
Those are
13, 14,
residential
15
homes,
do
too.
have residential and a joint, like, shared mixed commercial use on I think, 14 and 15.
Yeah, I mean, my concern more, I mean, the 22, 23, and 24 is a little bit further off.
Yeah, a little bit.
So the 12, 13, 14, 15 are really the most affected, and then
And 7 and 8.
7 and 8 and 6, that's,
Yep.
and 1.
Yeah.
15 is the towing, the Carigliano towing, right?
Yeah.
So that's,
Okay, so
that's
that's
a commercial.
That's a commercial. I just don't know. There may be someone that does
It's
occupy it as a residential as well.
15 is all commercial.
And I thought 14 had a commercial nature too, but maybe not.
So your applicant owns lot 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20.
Looking at the 200-foot list.
Yes.
Lots 23 and 25 are owned by, sound like businesses, Parsippany Business Properties and Noah's Construction. And the middle lot, lot 24, is owned by an individual that did have a shop, although it's from California, but I don't know what the size is.
And 22?
I'm sorry, lot,
22.
24,
little.
84 family.
Yeah. No, I'm
Yeah,
asking
what's
about
22? That's the lot
22 is
closest.
It's an LLC, KWKRL LLC, 68 Fanning.
That doesn't mean anything. LLCs can own personal property.
Yeah, it's personal.
Okay.
So anyway, at the current time, one of the things also about the width of the building is that width was ideal for the service. They have the bays on either side of the building to achieve the width so that they could bring the vehicles in, keep the toolboxes in the zone in the middle, and work from either side to vehicles coming in on either side of the building. So that's how we size the width of the building with the architectural team.
So the truck doesn't pull in, get serviced, and pull straight out. They could have two trucks in the building facing each other.
There are, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's two on either, there's doors on either side.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And the trucks are currently serviced in the buildings on lot 17 and 18?
There is some, yes, there is some servicing occurring in 17 and 18. Yeah, it's less. So,
When you did your one-way system coming down the north side of the building, the orientation or the angle of those stalls, was there 10 of them? No, 17 of them.
yes, 17.
How did you decide to have it in that direction where the traffic is? You anticipating that everyone will come down and back into that stall?
Yeah, if they're gonna use that, they're gonna come from the rear and back into it, because they won't, unless they, I suppose someone could pull out of one of the doors of the building after having been serviced, and if he went straight into a spot, he'd then have to deal with the K-turn maneuver to pull himself out and come one way down to the exit.
It just seems to me that it would be, I don't know if it would be safe or not, to have them back, pull in head on and back out, or do it the way you're talking about, they come down, stop, and then back in.
Well, all these vehicles are gonna be moved around by the people that work there. This is not customer self-parking, or this isn't any customer parking is mostly gonna be on the left-hand side with the 90-degree parking and/or in the car parking spaces.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What is the height of the current building and what's the new height of this new building?
The height of the current building is 28.3 feet. And the proposed building is, on this plan, it's actually a typo, or something that had changed over time. The zoning height is going to be 33.98 feet, so about a little more than a
Second
foot.
story on the front of the building.
There's a second story on the front, correct?
But the back of the building has to be the height for the trucks.
Right, that's height, because some of them go on lifts,
Mhm.
and so they have the higher ceiling.
I come from a car family, so I know.
Perfect. Yes, so the size of the proposed building footprint is 24,768 square feet. The truck service aspect is not permitted, so that will be the D variance for the application, which is what brings it before this board. The phased approach, so again, we talked about this briefly. So the goal is for them to continue to operate out of the buildings on 17 and 18 while the new building gets constructed. The business does not, day one, need the full building. They would, over time, grow into the size of the building. And so, as such, they don't need all of the parking day one. on the Phase 2 portion of the lot. So what they want to do, actually, now, this wasn't really the detail of what was talked about, but in the ideal, perfect world, my understanding, and it would be better if the owner probably spoke about his goals and plans, but what he explained to me, and which is why we put it on as a phase plan specifically, was because he would like to, after he's able to vacate the building on 17 and 18, and he moves into the new building with his operation, he would maybe for a season like to keep the existing buildings and maybe find a permitted tenant, lease it for a little while to help as he grows his business until the time when he needs that full site,
Well,
then he would vacate and,
and what kind of what kind of an owner or a renter is he talking about? Another truck service or another maintenance? What are we talking
a
about?
permitted use tenant, that's, and if this was something that was, I think, highly offensive to the board, I think he'd probably have to back away from that, but this was the perfect world of,
That's an overuse, that's, no.
Okay,
In
it was
my
a-
eyes, in my eyes.
yeah,
Agreed.
understood. That it was, the goal was to phase it for a temporary ability to do that. In theory, then, you wouldn't need to have this plan phased, because we could, as we've constructed it, it's phasing for construction purposes, not phasing for approval purposes, because we're gonna just construct this site so that they're operating while they build the new building, and then at the end of them, and when they get that occupancy, then they'll demo the existing building and vacate that building. So, I think the phasing was the ideal goal for him to, if the board was to see fit to allow another tenant there for a year or so while he built his building.
Just as Mr. Chadwick had said, DOA.
Yeah.
We will communicate that to the owner, so.
Please do.
Understood,
Please do.
understood, so I won't beat that horse.
Phasing it for that purpose, right now we're putting the neighbors through more,
Right, you don't need.
for lack of a better term, hell of building and
Exactly.
all that, when they don't really deserve to have that.
And it does sound like to me you're still gonna have to phase it
We do need to phase it from a construction
from a
perspective.
zoning perspective, because you can't get a CO on the new building unless you pass final, and you can't pass final until the old building's down.
It's demo,
So you're gonna
right.
need a bridge.
Okay, so then we do, I guess from a zoning perspective, we definitely still
And the
need that.
the board may wanna wish to, discuss a time frame about the time between the CO of the big building and the completion of the rest of the site work, including the demolition of the old building.
Right, that seems fair.
8 in the front and 8 in the back.
Okay, so I talked about the construction easement already, I've talked about the phased. Architectural, in terms of architecture, we do have an architect available to present testimony at the other hearing. I work closely with them, our company Redcom, which does the design build of many projects that we work on. That means we do the construction, we also design the engineering, we design the architecture, so I work with the architecture department. Just in terms of this exhibit, which is page, I believe, well, let me just make sure, page 3. Page 3 is this exhibit over here. This proposed building is block, possibly tilt up, but most likely block with a corrugated metal exterior added. And then the front of the building will have ephes finish on this corner of the building, and then we have proposed signage, et cetera, as per what's on the application and site plan. So it's mostly going to be a block building. This office with the 2-story area, you can see, will have an ephes finish that's, I think, going to be a nice improvement. In fact, if we go on to,
Can I just interrupt? Are the signs shown on page 3 the sign you're asking for?
the signs on page 3 are the signs that are in the site plan application shown on our sheets, yes.
So you need, those are, I'm looking at.
There's relief for
4
that.
signs.
Yeah.
You're looking for variance relief for signage.
Yes, I'll get to that when I run through the list of relief, theoretical relief required for, under how we read the ordinances and in terms of if it was a permitted use. So, actually, I think pages 4 and 5 are actually nice to see, the differential. So, page 4, shows you what the site looks like from a photo perspective that was taken from a drone photo. This was not over the holidays when the drones were all over the state, but this was done by McDonough's office. So they took this drone photo, and 5 shows you what you would see from that same perspective with a photorealistic overlay of the site laid on top of it. So that's the ultimate end of Phase 2 look of the property.
I have a question on the number of, am I calling them bays, garages, where the trucks will be serviced?
Yes.
You have 8 in the front and 8 in the back of the building?
There are, I have to look at that number.
8 per side.
But I believe it is 8 per side? Yes, 1, 2, yes, 8 per side. There's one actual other, I think it's a parts delivery overhead door, so there's a 9th overhead door on the, at the end of the paved area on the back. If you were to see that over near, I guess that's the transformer that's right here.
Okay.
This is also like an overhead door with a man door next to it. These are all other people access ways to the building.
And I'm sorry.
Oh, absolutely.
Question, and when I'm looking at this drawing, okay?
Yes, that
Number
would be page 5.
15, Lot 15, what's that right there? Is that a towing company or?
Where, yeah, next door on,
Yeah.
we believe that's the towing company, yes.
And do they live there or
Yes. Yes,
they
he
do,
does.
they live
Yes, he
there?
does. He lives there.
Yeah, because it looks like, with the house.
Yep.
I think that may have been before this board, a couple of years ago. But it's not part of this application.
Why wasn't, well, I really
It's all over stuff.
to hide.
Yep, all right, so, next thing I was just gonna run down was just,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, page 4 of your exhibit.
Yes.
If you look at the Intervale Road, there's a white pickup truck. You see that white pickup truck on that photograph?
Maybe, yeah, off Intervale, yes.
On Intervale. Is that a whole curb cut along that side of Intervale Road?
Yeah, right down by the corner. It does have, looks like depressed curb, so people can drive in like right off the corner, maybe to the right of that inlet. I know the whole thing isn't flush, and where the hedges are.
So there's actually 2 driveways.
Yeah, it looks to me like there are.
Intervale, is that right?
Mm-hmm,
Yes?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've reduced it to 1.
And the Fanning one is all the way up.
Yeah, Fanny is where the Avis truck is,
Yeah.
that area?
Yes, around with the Avis truck.
Yeah,
Okay.
before and after, right over.
Is that the type of vehicles, trucks that are going to be serviced in this area? An Avis truck is a large truck. Then we have
Box trucks like that,
box
yes.
trucks and so forth.
Mhm.
It's not only going to be cabs.
It's not just cabs. I only meant that in the context of there's no just trailer bodies. They're not there to store like trailer parking like you might see at like a warehouse site or something. This is
Oh, you do have a couple of large trucks back there.
box trucks, yes.
The owner or the person that everyday operation, will they be a witness at some point?
We can have them,
I mean,
Mr. Navy.
you go to their webpage and they say, we're encouraging you to bring your mid-size trucks, whatever that might be.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Mr. Navy wanted to be here, but he's out of state. But I'm assuming this hearing will be carried, and we're going to have Mr. Navy himself come and answer any questions, describe his operations. He regrets not being able to.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
On this map here, this drawing,
Yes.
you have all shrubs in the back coming around on the side here. On this side, there is nothing. It's all laid wide open and intrusive.
What
Why?
page you on, please, Peter?
You want
What
five?
page?
Yeah,
Five, the new
five,
building.
yeah, the new completed. Up against.
Yeah,
towing
I mean,
company.
that is true. I suppose, let me just think about this
Because,
for a
you know,
second.
when you go into properties, a commercial to residential, usually you have a buffer. And there isn't anything there but a wall.
Right, so if you look at sheet 2, and let me just make sure I know what I'm talking about here. You'll see that we did leave that green space as just grass. I think that could be, we could add something to screen the wall. And VR is, let me just know what.
It looks like stone in there. Or a paver's put up against the wall.
Yeah, so you see the line of trees across from the 9 and the 7 spaces? If you're looking at sheet 2, across from the 8,
It might help if you went to.
yeah, that's a good idea.
No.
Good point. So there's plantings here.
Yeah.
Those soften the fence from this side. They're 3 to 4 feet high.
Yeah.
Leather leaf
Right,
fiber.
and that's-
Similar plantings could be put here.
I don't understand why that wasn't thought of when you were drawing, because it's very intrusive, because right across the street is residential houses, including the property that the wall is on.
I don't have an objection to adding them. I think that we put the wall, like the fence, it's really a fence, it's a white solid fence. We put that there, just so you understand the way we're thinking, is that we put that there in a location that had a similar type of fence, and there's like a building there that's being taken down, or that there's a building there on the other site, so it's all similarly screened, and we were concerned with maybe the view from just inside lot, what is that, 15? And how just the fence right on the property line would probably be nice for them, but seeing this perspective in your presence now, I say that it makes sense for there to be maybe arborvitae right along that wall, and they could be as tall as the fence, I keep saying wall, the fence, and we could do something similar as a
Yeah.
condition. I don't see any problem with that.
How tall is that fence?
6 foot.
And it goes all the way to the street?
It does, it could be notched at 4 feet if that was preferred from the front yard line, but we
6 foot is
do
good.
identify the relief
Yeah,
in the list.
6 foot's gonna trigger a variance.
But we're flexible.
You're talking about buffering the tow trucks, right?
No, well, they live there too.
Are you sure
Well,
that?
there's a question of whether it's just now an office. When he came to us years ago, I think you will remember, Betty Lou, he needed approvals because he wanted to put his towing trucks back there.
Okay, I think it has to be more investigated. In fact, they should ask or find out, but I kind of think he does live there.
He's been back a couple times,
That's what I thought. But
over the past 5 or 6 years, I think.
more than that.
And I don't have a file here, but I'm pretty sure he said no one was gonna live there at the last hearing.
Well, some of the neighbors are.
Yeah, but I think we went to discuss the tow truck a lot, but we haven't discussed the houses across the Intervale.
Okay. The neighbors have advised me that Michael does stay there some
He
nights.
does stay there, he does late night towing.
That's what I
He'll
thought.
just
Yeah,
crash. I mean, he did it inside.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's what I kind of.
I might be getting ahead of myself, but on the final picture, which looks pretty nice, I guess, but this will be the only structure on the final site,
Correct.
where all the work will be done, the office will be done. Who's gonna park way the hell out here? What are all these parking places for along here, okay, that are that far away from the building?
So a combination potentially of inventory or, and the vehicles that are being serviced. inside the shop when they're waiting for the customers to come back and pick them up. So these are parking spaces for the business.
People will be parking at stuff, okay.
HK is a dealer for several truck brands, so the idea is to not only service, but to sell.
Okay, that's kind of where I was going with that. So this is gonna be more of a significant increase in retail sales, all right, of trucks at this site.
Right.
That's the goal.
That's the goal, okay?
I guess,
We'll have to see that, how that impacts traffic and all that other stuff at another date, I guess, okay? Right, okay. Having said that, all right?
Yeah.
If that's gonna be the main thing, I would see, you say maybe the later date, that driveway out onto Intervale would, could be closed or not needed. If all the activities back here, I would say that absolutely the only way they need to be going in and out of this property site is on
Right.
Kearney.
And there should be more shrubs around there to
absolutely.
buffer that all the way around.
Yeah. The
So
whole
you
area has to be
can't,
buffered.
you can't see the trucks they're selling being parked out there.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, but assuming if you close that exit and entrance, then that whole side could be shrubbery, so the neighbors won't even see it.
Mhm.
And I just have a question, I mean, we got trucks, that one little area that's kind of like a, I don't know what I would say. This here, like that parking,
How would they?
yeah, that doesn't make sense to me, I guess. I'm no expert on that, but do you need those extra 3 spots there? Or if you didn't have that, would you just be able to pull right in?
Handicap?
Oh, I mean,
I don't know, I don't know how many spots you need.
Yeah,
but it
they-
just looks
they
extra.
could get in. I mean, we're trying to serve his business, you know what I mean? Like, he needs as many parking spaces as he can once he's fully operational. So, obviously, once we close off that, which sounds like that's a pretty firm request of the board, that would change this configuration slightly. I think it would probably, we would lose those 3, but maybe pick up 2 or 3 on the row that
Right.
ends in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so, it's gonna have to, it'll change around, but,
He would have to redesign it.
yeah.
You're gonna have to put some landscaping, as they said, along Intervale.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those could be higher,
You're gonna have to allocate more land for
Mhm.
landscaping.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So maybe, as an example, you see these 4 parking spaces here?
Yeah, I don't think we wanna design this.
Yeah, but if I lost one, I'm gonna be able to get like another 4
Yeah.
feet and just thicken it up, something like that.
Yeah, slide it back.
These are definitely things we can do. Okay, so continuing on, I guess, unless, are there any other immediate questions at the moment? Just, I'll try to run through
That wasn't enough?
the prepared
Yeah,
direct
right.
testimony. So the bulk requirements, this is the OS zone again, so the minimum lot size was 8,000 square feet. This lot will comply with 141,170 square feet. The minimum lot width was 80 feet required. This is going to be about 483 feet existing proposed. The minimum front yard setback was 35 feet, and the lot complies with 50.5 feet proposed to the building. Just noting the existing nonconformity of 14 feet is being removed. The minimum side yard setback, 5 foot on one and 15 on both. The lot complies with 46.4 feet proposed to the side yard. The minimum rear yard setback of 15 is required, and the lot complies with 61.5 proposed. The maximum building coverage of 30% maximum complies with a 17.5 feet, or 17.5% proposed. During the phasing, that was 26.6%, so still in compliance. Max impervious with the 80% max, the final Phase 2 lot complies with 77.1 proposed. The phased condition while that existing building is there is 84.2, so that's a temporary variance relief for while we're under construction and waiting for the certificate of occupancy prior to demo. Maximum building height, 2 stories, 35 feet is permitted. The lot complies with a 2-story building, and it is less than 35 feet. That's going to be 33.98 from a zoning perspective, just so we know how that's calculated, that's the average, that's 6 feet off the building. Finished floor, it's actually 33 feet, 10 inches to the peak of the roof. There's a parapet that wraps around the 3 sides of the office, that's like 1 foot above that. So that original 34.98 was like to the top of the parapet, but the zoning is to the top of the roof. In terms of parking, the total required...
Can I just stop you for a second?
Sure.
So at the end of the project, what bulk variances do you need?
Well, I was going to get to the list of variances
Oh, sorry. I didn't interrupt.
shortly.
There's a
I'll
number. Okay.
run, it's a pretty decent list. But I'll just review to stay in order for a moment. Parking, so the total required car parking is 63 parking spaces. The site proposes 27 car parking spaces and 69 truck parking spaces. The reason this is automobile services requiring 63 parking spaces, but what he's servicing are the trucks, so truck parking spaces are bigger than car parking spaces. I think it's compliant in terms of the number of parking spaces, but it's technically probably maybe relief because you're not technically providing 63 car parking spaces. It's harder to, I don't know if that's exactly how the attorney would interpret that, or the planner, but we have 98 total proposed parking spaces from a zoning
We need to
perspective.
understand, because you've got employees, you've got employees, you've got customers.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to it.
Trucks being serviced, trucks being sold. We've got a bunch of different categories of parking. And once we decide what is customer and employee, from there, we've got to do the handicap and the EV. So we really need that all tabulated and somehow presented so we can understand what's going where and what kind of relief we're supposed to get for this.
My notes, when I was responding to your sort of question on that in your letter, this is item 15 off of your letter. Noting that your last letter, which is dated what? Let me just make sure we're on the same page. February 25th, right. Item 14, or item 15, we noted that, so when I speak to the bulk variances, I'm going to identify that we probably do need relief from 430-275U, based on this comment, because, so we have 27 car parking spaces, they need about 5 car parking spaces for customers, that leaves about 22 car parking spaces for the employees, and then regarding the 69 trucks parking spaces of the Phase 2 full build-out, we need about 9 of those for customer parking, and the other 60 we noted them as optional sales, but speaking with the owner, he would never need more than 10 for inventory, so let's just assume it's 10 inventory type sales spaces for some things that he might try to be selling, and then 60 of those truck spaces are available for the servicing and customers that are leaving cars there for service. Trucks. Did I say car?
Are those going to be
Yeah,
particularly
truck.
designated, like signed?
I wasn't going to define them on the plan, but I suppose if the board wanted them locked down in some kind of fashion, that could be done.
You said the employees would move the trucks around, right?
Yeah,
You bring
right.
up, you go in the
Right, it's the
office.
trucks that are gonna move them, you're right, it'll be very similar, like when a person drops off their car for service at a car dealership. They don't drive into a indoor bay here, they park the car, they come inside, they say, I need service, someone picks them up, or they Uber, right, and then the people either park it somewhere that they want it, or they bring it in for service.
But I think just Mr. Lemanowitz's comment about parking, it's difficult to figure out what relief you need unless those parking spots are particularly designated for customers, employees, et cetera. Is that where you were going, Tom?
Yeah, basically trying to get a table or something that we can kind of look at and say, okay, let's figure this out. I mean, it sounds like you've got a concept, but we need something that we could put on a plan and say, okay, these are the numbers, and from that, we can generate the handicap and the EV and whatever, relief might be required. I mean, we just have to, I would think we'd need some kind of document.
I could definitely update the table to be reflective of what we think we're proposing and why. I guess the question would be, would the board be leaning for us to also designate specific spaces for, like, customer parking,
For purpose.
for the purpose, and inventory parking, or would there be
I
flexibility
think
with
you
that
just
regard?
need to sign the handicap, the EV spaces, and if there's some reserved for some reason for customers, do that. But putting a whole bunch of little signs all over the property
Yeah, right.
before.
So we have EV designated spaces, we have handicap designated car parking spaces, which is based on the 27 proposed car parking spaces being proposed. There's no, I don't know if there's no such thing, but there's no proposed handicap truck customer parking space.
What Mr. Romano's asked for is just a summary table so that he can verify.
We could easily revise and put a
Yeah,
table
'cause
together.
the number with the EV and the handicap are gonna be based upon customer and employee cars.
Right,
People driving, it has nothing to do with storing trucks or fixing trucks or anything, and it's just a matter of designating which spaces are which.
right,
That's, the automobile versus the trucks.
right.
And your parking may change if you increase the buffer along Intervale Road. too.
Yeah, right, these numbers are they'll end up tweaking a little bit based on what we have to reconfigure to. So let me go back to this. I mean, my testimony was the ADA parking was proposed to meet the ADA requirements, the EV parking was to meet the EV with the two proposed EV. This is subject to change, I think, at the moment, but the intent will be to comply. Car parking spaces required are 9 by 18, that's what we're proposing. The parking lot has striping and sidewalks appropriate to make locations for safe pedestrians for customers. The loading requirements are complied with. In terms of the signage, so let's talk about the proposed building-mounted signage. There's 4 proposed signs, which is going to require relief, which I'll get into shortly later, but there's 2 signs that are 77 square feet, that's 17 foot 5 inch by 4 foot 5 inch sign. And there's a 68 square foot sign, which is 15 and 11.5 inches by 4 foot 3 inches, and a 4th sign that is 4 foot 1.5 inches by 4 foot 1.5 inches.
How many of them are lit?
And that one's 17,
How many of those are lit?
internally illuminated. I think they all are.
Are you gonna have a time?
So we're gonna have to probably restrict that so the neighbors don't have
Timing.
coming vengeance.
Yeah, I think most times the requirement is that they show up at a certain time.
Yep.
Yeah. Can you point out and at least let the board know where those are, if they're all facade signs, where on the building they'll be mounted and at what height? Because Parsippany's ordinance is a little bit unusual when it comes to sign
Yes.
height.
The,
Tanner, is that page 3? Your signage on the building?
yeah, page 3 is, you can see all the signs on page 3. In the drawings that are part of the application package, page 9 shows the details of the signs on the landscaping and signage plan, phase 1. Let me just get to the heights.
We don't have the percent.
You say it was?
Do you have the plan set?
Oh, no, sign details.
Where?
Sign details are on page 9.
Yep, see it.
So-
The larger one, the HK truck is 17.3.
Right, that one's right here in the gray part of the ephes. Then there's this, I don't know if it's Hino or Hino trucks. That's gonna be on that, also on that
Yes.
facade, and then the parts service sign is off to the right.
On the top right.
On the
Yeah,
the facade facing Fanny Road.
Right.
Right,
And then there's the Cummins sign.
Where's the Cummins sign?
The Cummins is on the,
Cummins is right here also on the,
on the side. Okay,
Intervale Road.
yeah, just the same.
okay. Thank you.
oh, you know what? I'm incorrect on something I said. The parts service sign is the freestanding sign.
Where's that?
Where's that?
That's on Fanny Road, right?
That's coming in. It's right here, actually, on the rendering, it's under the tree.
So then that's sign 5.
That's the fifth sign. There's 4 building mounted signs, and the fifth, 1 freestanding sign. And so there's 2 of the HK Truck Center, the one here on this side, and the one here on the corner. That's what that one is. That's the
When you say on the corner, you're talking about the facade facing
Yeah.
Fanny Road.
facade facing Fanny Road,
And then there's a monument sign
the monument sign.
on Fanny Road.
Yes, it's on Fanny Road, on the side of the driveway up by the parking spaces. You can see that on sheet 3.
So both HK signs are same
Uh,
size?
No, it's on sheet 9 as well.
Are both HK signs the same size?
Yes. It says, on the sign details, it says number 1P and number 2P. So those are the 2 signs for that.
And the signs on the facade facing Intervale Road designate the companies with which HK Trucking represents.
Right.
From a sales and service perspective.
Correct. Correct.
The size seems to be, the number is more than the ordinance allows. The size seems to be within the ordinance, but it's too high. We have an ordinance that says it can't be more than
Right.
2 feet up, and your building is 31. Just by looking at it, I think you're more than 22 feet up here.
Right, the Cummins sign, I think the max mounting height for signs is 25 feet from grade. That Cummins sign is,
25 or 22?
25 is in the ordinance.
Is it 25 in the ordinance?
25, yeah, but like all the buildings in the Mac Cali campus had to come in for variances because it would look silly to put us
Yeah.
right in the middle of the building. So everybody goes up closer to the corners.
yeah, and we're putting them above the windows, but anyways, so the Cummins sign is 28 foot 1 inch. The Hino is 28 foot 2 inches, and the HK, on the right-hand side is 25 foot 10.5 inches. The one that faces Fanny Road. The other one, I think, is compliant.
And
Down
Josh,
below.
the heights shows it based on, the building's 33 feet, so to make it kind of at the appropriate visual location for signs.
Right, right.
Well, the ones facing Intervale need to go above the window, so we understand that. The other one looks like you could make them comply, which is, here is 25 and a quarter or something.
Yeah, 25, 10 and 10.5 inches. I mean, maybe we lower that one 10 inches
Yeah.
and make that one comply.
The Fanny Road sign.
Yeah.
Mr. Tyner, the monument sign, which sheet on the plan set is that shown? Because I'm not seeing it on my set of plans.
Yeah, I mean, it's not showing up on sheet 3, but it does show up on sheet 9.
Sheet 9.
Yeah, the same signage, the signage plan is where it's, being clearly called out, but I'll make sure we add that to sheet 3. But if you see, so if you're looking at sheet 9, you can see the call-outs for each of the ones, the building mounted signs with a designation to it. And then if you're driving in off of Fanny Road, there's like the island before the parking lot, the little peninsula as it sticks out there says proposed ID sign 5P, area 25 square feet
Sheet 9.
on sheet 9.
It's amongst the
Oh,
trees.
okay, there it is.
See that? Yeah.
Amongst the trees, can't see. It's there. Don't trust it, it's there.
This is gonna be a magic trick. So,
And do you know the hours of operation?
you know what, I actually didn't ask that of the owner. I think, they're gonna continue the same as they are now, but it's probably something like maybe 6:30, probably 7 till I don't even know, actually. Did he ever tell you?
My guess, we're gonna have to get there.
He'll be
at some
here at the
point.
next meeting.
Any reason why you would have the signs on after the business closes?
Probably not, no.
So, it closed Sundays, Monday through Friday, 7 AM to 6 PM. Saturdays, just morning hours.
What are you reading from?
This is from the, HK, from what their website provides. And have you driven there in the evenings?
Was it 7?
7 in the morning, 7 AM.
Okay.
Have you driven there in the evenings?
So the lights at night shouldn't be a problem, because they're closed. They should be on.
They shouldn't be on. No,
Okay.
they'll-
Lights are definitely gonna be off though at 6 o'clock, they're not gonna be on, just not.
We'll get there. You'll be able to ask.
I'm sorry.
Just try to refrain from making comments from the audience because it affects the integrity of the record, I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, we recognize there's homeowners nearby, and they don't wanna look at a lit sign when when the site's not even open, so we'll shut them off.
Yep. There's other site circulation signage such as stop signs, handicap parking signs, et cetera. And lighting, the lighting's proposed to comply, the 18-foot high fixtures throughout, that's, identified on the plans now. Landscaping, it has shade tree, evergreen tree, shrubbery is proposed. We're gonna modify some of that, with probably arborvitae along the fences so that they're about getting up to the height. Let's have it at 6 feet as well, so that it's a nice softer look as that fence is there.
The lights in the parking lot, you're gonna shut those off in non-business hours or have motion detectors so that they only go on if somebody's trying to break in.
I don't have an objection to that, but
Is there security level lighting you need?
yeah, I mean, they might want some security lighting. I mean, I know, I haven't talked with Henry about that, but, car dealerships want there to be light for security,
Neighbors don't.
but neighbors don't.
Yeah, I mean, you could put it on motion, that makes some sense.
Yeah.
That's something that, we'll discuss with the owner, and when we come back, we'll have a better answer, and we'll discuss that.
Okay. Do you know if the lights are up inside, so we can't see the bulb?
Yeah, they would be. They're gonna be LED.
Yeah, see the,
I mean, it's flush. I think the LEDs are set back, but they should be no glare. They should be like cut-off fixtures that,
if I'm living across the street in Indiaville, I'm not gonna see that bulb.
I don't think so.
No, don't say you don't think so, say you know, please.
I know,
Yeah,
I know.
please don't, yeah.
Perfect.
Be more precise.
Okay. Darn. All right,
That's not what you wanted to say either.
well, I was off the record. Anyway, so refuse removal and recycling. There's a trash enclosure proposed, private hauler, we expect to be engaged.
Where is that?
In the back corner, this, right here is where the
Is it
trash.
over there?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Yep. The,
Right behind the residential.
The church is over there. That's the church?
Church on the other side.
Well, there's a house over there too.
There's a house there.
public utilities, for water, electric, gas, sanitary sewer available, and able to service the site with the services as proposed. So now I'm gonna just run through the list of variances and waivers, so.
Will they change when you redo the plans?
Some may.
And do we have this list?
Yeah.
It's pretty close to the letter.
One of the documents of the application packet, I called it a summary of variances and waivers.
Yeah.
It's long.
Sounds it.
Yeah. And I think I attached the zoning permit to it, when I assembled this thing.
This list is pretty consistent also, with, the engineering letter from Mr. Lemanowitz.
So are you proposing to go through all those tonight, now?
I
Would you-
don't have that. You submitted it?
Yeah, it was part of the original application.
It may have evolved since the original
It was on
submission.
the original thing.
Yeah, I called it,
Yeah.
It's up to you if you want me to
Why
not.
don't we hold on to that, because you're gonna
You're gonna redo
probably
some.
bring back a plan that shifts a couple parking spaces so we get a much better buffer line.
Mhm.
You know,
Sign movement.
you're gonna adjust the sign of the architect for the sign.
Right.
To the extent you're gonna identify customer parking spaces versus whatever, that'll be up to you guys.
Yeah.
And probably going over the variances, reading off a piece of paper,
Yeah,
I
we don't
don't
need
think it's productive.
Well, there's a couple of them that maybe,
You wanna talk about?
yeah.
Open them up.
Don't start with number one.
All right, so the second one, so no
I'm
fence,
only kidding.
no fence over 4 feet permitted in the front yard. We do have that 6-foot fence going the whole way. Would the board rather see a notch and a 4-foot fence for the last?
Solid and then latticing on top.
So get rid of that variance and have a drop in the fence. Okay, yeah, so let's,
And you're gonna put plantings in front of it anyway.
yes, yep, sorry about that. So I wanted to talk about, the last exhibit in the sheet is actually related to, the HVAC. Looks to me from, now that I've looked at it, that we're not gonna need relief. This yellow zone is an area where we can pretty much put the HVAC as the architect had identified. Really, HVAC equipment's gonna be no higher than 6.5 feet. And so if you're standing at the property line at the back of lot 15, or the property line at the back of the church lot there, these are the sight lines, and sight line 1 and 2 basically show you how, if you're standing 6 feet off the ground, the corner of the building is going to shield the HVAC equipment set back that far. So that yellow zone is basically the safe zone plus 10 feet off of the other 2 frontages for where HVAC equipment will be proposed, so.
Okay.
So you don't need a variance.
So I don't think we need a variance. At one point, I was going to ask for it.
Are you positive you're gonna put them on the roof?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be on a roof.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess, do we need to have the variance for the max impervious in between phases? Since it's a temporary condition just until certificate of occupancy?
That's a question, because the existing service center is gonna remain up while the new one's being built. So there might be an impervious issue temporarily.
I think we should designate it as such.
Okay. It's like a temporary relief.
I agree.
Yeah.
You have a time on it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, that a little more detail on the phasing is probably appropriate as well when you come back. In terms of the construction.
Of what we're gonna approve.
They're not gonna leave it open-ended.
Right, yeah, right.
You're gonna have to get pretty detailed on where their staging areas are, where they're gonna pile up equipment, where they're gonna put their trailers, where they're gonna whatever. I mean, it's a pretty good sized building. I know you guys, you do metal construction, siding, et cetera,
Yeah.
but.
You want to see that in the site plan set? It's a trailer parking, a trailer?
I'm just, the real bottom line I see is whether you got too much going on at this, when you got the building under construction and you're operating in business, how long that's gonna take. Once you get the building up, I think everything will solve itself.
Yeah.
But in the between, I don't wanna see like Chinese fire drill going on. I mean, and I think it could easily happen, and there's no way to rectify it other than start putting stuff in the street, and that can't happen.
No, right, they can't do that. Yeah, we can put a little bit of a plan together on that. So what was not in the list was the off-street parking for sale, repair servicing. The only thing it would be, now we're clearly gonna have some inventory parking spaces identified in the whole thing, so we're gonna need relief from that 430-275U, which I hadn't had on the list before. So that's new.
Can you explain that one a little bit more? I'm sorry.
So the way 430-275U reads, it says, more or less, no off-street parking for sale, repair, servicing, and some other word that I didn't write down because it's whatever. I can look it up, but, since some of the parking spaces will be inventory parking spaces, you would need relief from that because it's
Understood.
a sale
Well,
parking
that's
space.
folded into use, I mean, it's.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just identifying it off of that specific item.
Use is not permitted, that's.
We have the relief for the signage, which we'll have, and then they all flow into it, and then, the other one is the steep slopes, just so we're aware that the steep slopes come off the building. We're changing that with retaining walls and regrading. So most steep slopes on this site are being disturbed as part of the application. So, and then moving on to my kind of assessment of the review letters. So we do have Morris County Soil Conservation District certification. We got that on July 25th. And we have the Morris County Planning Board approval. That letter was dated 11/22/2024. We addressed the fire subcode memos, the fire chief memo, said no further comments. The water department memo we addressed, and the sewer memo also said no further comments. We received John Chadwick's planning memo. Item 2, discussion of operations will be by the owner. Traffic is here to testify on traffic for number 3. Number 6, we've kind of beat phasing to we've talked about it enough, I think. And we're going to be a little more detailed in what our plans are. And then the Agreement Peterson Inc. engineering memo dated 2/25. Item 7 was the easement we talked about. Item 8, the applicant included, we had a major soil moving permit application submitted with the original submission. Just for clarity, this is a generally balanced site. There's going to be about 8,500 cubic yards of cut and 8,650 cubic yards of fill. So we'll need an import of about 150 cubic yards, which is not very significant in terms of the total earthwork. And there will be an export of about 3,200 cubic yards of topsoil.
And Josh, will the applicant commit that it will have the same limitations on truck traffic, so that the trucks carrying soil to and from the site will not will not go right onto the Intervale, and they'll use the main roads to reach 287?
Right, yeah, they'll basically come off the site, take Fanny Road, and get on 287.
Just a question on going back to number 7. I thought earlier in your testimony you said that you will be doing grading on lot 21?
Yes,
So you will be doing work on the adjoining property?
there's minor grading work occurring and some demolition, so that we can tie into the existing grades.
So you're like smoothing it out?
Yeah. Let me just look at it again, which is basically plan sheet 5.
Was a consent of ownership provided for lot 21?
The music store gave us what we titled a temporary construction and grading easement agreement, and it's from November 18, 2023. We've been working at the.
Okay, so did the notice go from?
Yeah, we included, in the notice, it included a big section saying there's gonna be temporary grading on that lot.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because I hate to go through all this.
Yeah,
And you noticed 200 feet from that lot?
I did, we got the list for all of our lots plus the music store's lot. Gotcha. We noticed around everybody.
Yep.
Now, with respect to your soil moving permit, I thought the number I saw in the, and I have the report here somewhere, was like 50,000 yards in the major soil moving permit. But it doesn't sound like you're saying that number. I'm trying to find.
I thought the application actually said to be determined, but
Yeah, the application states there'll be 50,000 cubic yards of material to be moved.
no, it's not that
That's in
significant.
the Township Engineer's memo of July 8th. And my question is, has there been any soil testing done to make sure that you don't have contaminated material that you have to truck out or put a cap on?
Yeah, there was nothing of that nature found in what geotechnical testing we performed.
Nothing, did you tested for petroleum products and all that stuff, and it came up clean?
There was a phase one done that did not talk about anything like that, that didn't recommend any additional testing, as far as I know.
When we bought the property, we did extensive investigation.
I'm just saying, I don't want to go, again, I'd hate that you have to come back halfway through and say, hey, we found that somebody spilt oil on the ground, which I'd be surprised if it didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah, we didn't Swiss cheese the site, but, the hot spots, whatever it was, they were all investigated.
Could you supply us with a report and give it to Tom?
Our environmental due diligence.
Yeah.
No, I probably wouldn't want to disclose that. That's close to the vest. That's usually not disclosed. You're in real estate,
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that if it impacts your soil moving permits, why would it back?
We don't give away our own information on the property.
Right.
Just like you don't ever let an LSRP onto your site, we don't usually share any environmental due diligence we do.
Well, if there's a question on it, you gotta have support to say it's clean.
Whenever soil is
You
moved.
just had a question on it.
Whenever soil is moved, if it's gonna be exported or imported, it has to be tested.
Yeah,
And that'll be done.
But we're not talking about potentially the soil coming in, we're talking about soil that's there.
Yeah.
Right.
And a car dealership was there.
Right.
So how clean was the earth when the car dealership was done?
And you have that information, but you will not divulge it.
Well, I can't disclose that.
can't disclose it.
All the tanks were pulled in the past, so everything was confirmed. The owner, Mr. Navy, felt comfortable enough to proceed, purchase, and he got financing, and the bank was satisfied that.
But then if that was satisfied and the bank was satisfied to give him the mortgage, then there shouldn't be any problem given us if it wasn't contaminated.
Again, I'm not authorized to disclose that.
Yeah, but what if this board wants to see that information?
I'll have to ask Mr. Navy.
Okay, please do so. Thank you.
Do you have any other comments on your zoning testimony?
Let me just see.
I'm gonna raise an issue that we haven't talked about at all. And these trucks, every time they back up, they're gonna go beep beep, right?
Yeah.
Item 9 was to talk about merging the lots. We talked about item 11, business hours, he'll talk about when the owner testifies. Item 12 was talking about phasing. 13, the handling of fluids and batteries. He can testify to that, but it's gonna be the same as the existing operations. Item 14 was clarity on the building height. I think the revised plans will be more clear on building height. Item 15, this is relief from the 275U that we talked about on the parking of sales. Item 16, requested the number of how we got the 27 car parking spaces. That was the 9 in the front plus the 16 on the side, and then in phase 2, you can see 3 groups of 4 down on the phase 2 area, so that equals 27. Item 17, I think we'll replace that with a cast-in-place wall in the front, that retaining wall, so that, because of the subsurface drainage features behind the wall. Item 19, we'll work with the engineer to identify a good planting scenario in the site triangle easement, so that'll be revised, plus these other changes that we've talked about. Item 20, on our plan, we do show the thickness, maximum 1 foot thick signs off the face of the building. And then 26, we're okay with proposing an enlarged plan, but we did show a note that shows a 4'5" clear on the sidewalk between the wall and the EV charging equipment, so that should be adequate. And items 21 through 31 are miscellaneous drainage comments. We'll address all of those ultimately, and item 32 was the screening that we talked about. So that's all my direct testimony.
Mr. Chadwick had an interesting point, saying, trucks have, when you put a truck in reverse, there's the audible alarm. How have we contemplated the noise from those beeps, and how that impacts operations? Has that been considered, or is that something we should look at
We're gonna have to look at that more closely and maybe,
To do with
Doug.
the activity at the site, the hours they stop operating, moving vehicles around.
Mhm.
And that one lot that's down next to Intervale is, I think, probably the most critical.
It'd be interesting to hear if there are objectors or neighbors that have input on that, since the business is ongoing as it is, to hear their input on that aspect of the noise.
Yep.
It's late.
It is late. So, because we are likely changing one of the driveways, that's probably gonna impact my traffic expert's testimony and analysis, so he's gonna have to go back to the board on that. It's a little, so I think this might be a logical
Time to quit, yeah.
endpoint for this evening. We have our homework cut out.
You want to see if there's any questions of your witness's testimony that he's given thus far from the public?
Public have any questions of this witness and his testimony only?
Questions only, not comments, just questions.
And Mr. Tanner will be returning at the reasonable continue.
Okay. Please come up.
If you have questions of this witness, not comments either in support of or in opposition, but a question on the testimony that he gave this evening. Sure, just identify yourself, tell us where you're from.
William Taylor, 8 Lake Place, off of Intervale Road. Will any of these plans be available to the public?
They're all-
To us?
They're available at the,
That's Nora Jolie.
Yeah.
She has the drawings.
So we can see these?
definitely.
Everything.
Okay, thank you.
I actually have a quick strategic question, because if we're planning on coming back for March 22nd, or no?
Yeah, we don't know
You're
yet.
funny.
We don't know yet. We have to see when we have time for you.
Oh.
Time.
Well, try June.
Okay, because if it was sooner than later, it might be easier, like, for us to create an exhibit of the new layout, identify the information, and revise the plans as a condition of approval, like all the engineering after that we're all happy with the layout. But maybe I just have to redesign everything for the resubmission.
Well, you'll have a compliance period.
I'm not sure it's gonna be a resubmission, but you have to revise the plan. Whether you warrant resubmitting it in advance, or be prepared to discuss how you're addressing these issues.
Which, okay, well, I could do that with exhibits
Yes.
and things of that. Okay, that's what I wanted to be clear on, because I can resubmit, but I'm going to need a little more time if I have to do all that.
I'm sure you're going to.
George's gonna give it to you.
Will give us the time.
And if you create a bajillion more sets of these, and then the board changes it, you're gonna have to do another. So
Right.
I would come in with a revised,
Okay.
to
Few
go over
exhibit
with them.
strategies and, right, okay.
And answer most of the questions from this board. We
Yes.
appreciate it, please.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Nora's
Nora?
date is?
June 11th.
June 11th.
Bingo.
Thank you.
7:30 PM, Mr.
Motion to adjourn?
Bill, you have to make an announcement on that?
Does he have to read?
No, with no further
No,
notices,
no
right?
further notice? Okay.
And with extensions.
Good extension.
Yes, with extensions.
Was it June what?
June 11th, right?
June 11th.
June 11th?
June 11th.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good job,
For your
Nora.
information.
We need officially.
May we have a motion?
Motion to
please?
adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Good night, folks.
Good night. Opposed?
Good night.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
Sir.
Appreciate your help. Nice to meet you. Take care. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.